Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, viewers. Welcome to well, you're welcome. We are glad to have you with us here on Muslim Speaks Tribe. So this is a summit, which is that the theme of the summit is mental health. So for this panel section, before I move forward, my name is Alimat Ayoni, one of the moderators for the one of the moderators for Muslim Speaks Tribe, and I'm the one moderating this panel. And the topic of this panel is mental health, the myths and facts. So before I go further, I'd like to talk about the objective. Then afterwards, I'll talk about the profiles of our panelists here. So the objective of this section is to correct the misconception that mental health concerns the quotes, the in quotes madness, starting from like the 5 minutes madness that everyone usually say most of the time. It's also we also here to also address the notion that mental illness as spiritual attack, whereas caused to be addressed by instead of also addressed by the either psychiatric or the psychologist, then we push it down to the spiritual line. So in this, another goal that we like to also achieve through this panel is also to correct the misconception that cutting down cutting that nothing can be done to protect people from the developing mental health condition. And our aim at the end of everything is to debug the myths and the facts, the myths rather, that parenting caused mental health conditions in adolescents. And lastly, we also seek to correct the impression that a mental health condition is a sign of weakness and a sign of weakness and low intelligence. So before I go further, I'd like to let our viewers know the people that will be the panelists we have here with us. So firstly, with no respective order, I would like to mention I would like to talk about that's Dr. Awau Bello. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. So wave so
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, it's nice to have you here. So here is her profile. She's Dr. Awau Bello is known as a Mustaza. She's a distinguished psychotherapist, life coach, and a clinic health psychologist with a robotic background in human psychology and anatomy. She holds a master's degree in health psychology from Weldon University, Minnesota, USA, and also BSA from human psychology from the University of Ilorin. From all the numerous accomplishments and qualifications, which I would not mention all, so we can save our time. She's also a dedicated, not just a dedicated professional, but also a speaker, writer, advocate for women's rights, and happily married and blessed with children, and she also derived joy from empowering others, helping others and herself, embodying the passionate commitment and guiding individuals and family towards their desired destination. We welcome you once again to this panel, ma'am. Hope to hear more from you as we start. Okay. So I'll also okay, welcome, ma'am. Glad to have you, ma'am. So our next panelist we have is Coach Didi. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, it's good to have you. So her name is Coach Maimuna Umi Abdul Ali, but she's very widely recognized as Coach Didi. She's a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and a personal development and mental health coach. She is certified trainer with Nigerian Council of Management Development, a coach, counselor, and mental health practitioner, and mental health first aider, a performance consultant, and member of Forbes Coach Council. So amongst all our qualification and accomplishments too, I would like to move through all that and say she's a speaker and advocate of mental health awareness, girl-child education, and women empowerment. So I'm done with the profile of our panelists here. We welcome you once again to this session. We're glad
Thank you.
to hear more from you. Okay.
Thank you.
So the topic, like I said earlier, we're treating today is the myth and the fact, because there's a whole lot going on, especially using Nigeria as a case study. That little thing that happened, everybody be like, oh, they look as if there's something wrong with that person upstairs, there's this, there's that, and not knowing that even with there are some mere symptoms that we even say that it should be mental health trade related, but we take it to the church, to the mosque, or whatever it is, we feel we could get the quick help. So I would like to go into the question now, but this question I'll be asking both Coach Didi and Dr. Awao Bello. So I want you to answer this question, please. So what are the most effective strategies for changing the public the perception of mental health issue being synonymous with madness? Just like I said earlier, like what are those strategies that can help us position it right, especially to the public? So, Dr. Awal, please, you go first.
Oh, okay. Walaikum salam. I was thinking you would say Coach Didi should go first.
No, no. You know,
Okay,
you're my madam at the top. You have to go first. You know,
Okay, that's
Coach Awabelo
absolutely
is
fine.
actually my trainer. So I bet let's
Ah,
respect ourselves.
my hands are up. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
Okay,
no
ma'am.
problem, no problem. I would thank you for the honor. So
Yes.
there are quite a number of ways to change public perception on this particular myth, actually. But one of the most important one, which I see that is beginning to pick up ground, but there's still a lot that needs to be done, is actually education and awareness campaign. So a lot of education needs to be done. People need to become aware. We need to do so much more in terms of campaigns. There should be slogans everywhere, campaigns everywhere. You know, like the way you see, maybe you are traveling or you're going on expressway and you see they put posters around in all of these big billboards that you will see governor whatever vote for, so person, or you will see all these big drinks. I don't want to call their names. Beer, those beers, all those H and
Yeah,
K's and all.
politicians, the celebrities.
Yes, and then the drinks. I mean drinks. I mean beer
Oh,
that people
drinks.
take,
Oh, okay,
alcohol.
okay, okay. Our
You see all
soft
those
drinks.
big boards that you see all those alcohol on them. You know, campaigns like that, where on those boards you actually have boldly written on them, what mental health is. Things like that. We need so much of that. I've not seen any. Currently in Nigeria, although if you go abroad, you see quite a number of countries are beginning to do that. And then, a whole lot of education, trying to educate people about mental health generally. What are the myths? What are the facts? So, number one is education and awareness. Number two is people. I know there is a lot of stigma, so it's difficult for people to actually share. But the way to actually change public perception is for people to share their personal stories and testimonials. You know, when people come out and say that I have experienced so. It makes it easy for people to think twice and say, really? You? Ah, tell me more about it or something like that. In a very, very open and carefree way. So somebody comes out and says, somebody is, maybe an influencer, a public figure, comes out and say, I battle with anxiety, and this is what I do, this is how I've gone through it. It removes the stigma that this is only a problem of some particular kind of people. I don't know if that makes sense. And then, of course,
Yes, it does, ma'am.
part of education is to really take this literacy to schools. Mental health literacy in all schools, all strata, from nursery, primary, secondary, university, and post university. Take those awareness to those places. Let people begin to know what mental health really is all about. In this area, too, people are beginning to do, we are scratching the surface, but there's a whole lot more that needs to be done, you know. And then, like I said, in terms of personal stories, we need to engage influencers more and engage celebrities more. What I see in the Nigerian situation is that a lot of celebrities and influencers cover up their mental health issues with things that, of course, if you're a mental health professional, you will know that they're only masking and covering up. Rather than do that, let's engage these influencers and celebrities to begin to actually talk about these things so as to change public perception, you know, because the more people talk about it, the more people actually begin to change their perception. It is, I don't know who said it, that the more you tell a lie, you just need to tell a lie a lot of times for it to
Yes.
become truth.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you cannot imagine now the truth. We are not even now talking about it. And so the more you talk about the truth, the more everybody now begins to actually hear and know what's happening. And finally, so that I'll give Coach Chidi to time to say quite a number of things about that, is that we need to also take workplace mental health seriously. Of every organization should talk about mental health. If you do some research and you see Google workplace, there's mental health advocacy and all of that, Microsoft, even Amazon, all of these big organizations. But in Nigeria, I don't hear anything. I don't hear, you know, where is the Chevron? Where is the NMPC? Where is the EFCC? Where is, all of these big organizations? What are they doing about mental health in their workplace? Because when these big organizations start, it will trickle down. Even small organizations can actually start. It's not only school and education institutions alone, but all workplace, all offices, all organizations, you know, can begin to do something as basic as mental health first aid training in all the organizations. Let all organizations train their staff on mental health first aid, for example, and you will see that public perception will change. If at the end of the day, WHO says that 1 out of every 4 is currently having a mental health issue or would likely have a mental health issue in their lifetime, we are talking about 25% of the whole population. Where are these 25%? They are in your offices, they are in your schools, they are in your organization, they are in your mosques, they are in your churches, name it, they are everywhere. So you see 4 people on the road, one of that 4, is what we are talking about. So we need to take it to all of these places to actually be able to change the public perception.
What's wrong with network? Stomach, man.
Walaikum salam. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. I can. I think it's
I was
you're freeze.
yes,
You're
I was
frozen on my screen though.
when I talked about workplace mental health.
Okay. You can continue, man.
Yes, did you hear the last thing I said about what?
No.
No, you're
Oh, you
frozen.
didn't hear that?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't hear.
Okay. Okay. So the last you heard was what?
Um, when you kept talking about the organizations having it, and no matter how the small organizations are, like having talk about workplace mental health, like in every organization. I think that's where I got you.
Okay. Okay. So I was saying that we take it to everywhere. We take it everywhere. Where WHO says 1 out of 4 people have mental health issue or is likely to have a diagnosable mental health issue in their lifetime. So what does this mean? It means 25% of the whole population of the country. These 25%, where are they? Where are they? They are in your offices, they are in your churches, they are in your schools, they are in your mosques, they are on the roadside, they are in the market, they are
They
everywhere.
are here.
They are
Yeah.
here. Exactly, they are everywhere.
Yes,
Because
because
this is you saying that 1 out of every 4 you see on the road. 1 out of every 4. So where do you think these people are? So if you look at, let's say we are 200 million people, 1 out of 4 is saying 50 million people. 50 million. Do you know? So they're everywhere. So we need to take the mental health to everywhere, workplaces, schools, mosques, churches, all your spiritual organizations and all of that, to be able to actually change public perception. The more you talk about it, The more people begin to, okay, let me listen to this, the more we are able to change the public perception. So over to you, Coach Didi.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Coach Didi.
Mumtaz has said it all, to be honest.
Ah,
And but what I would add
Thank
is,
you.
just like she said, the ability to share stories. What I would emphasize, to be vulnerable. In our society, we have been raised to wear a face upon our real faces, to pretend that no matter how bad things are, because we don't want our village people to be happy, so we'll have to mask it. So I think the ability to be vulnerable and be okay with that is partly part of the story. And then secondly, I would say that it's not enough to even create awareness about mental health in schools, workplaces, and even share stories. It's also important we actually teach people how to manage people, how to respond to people who have mental health issues. Because when people have mental health, the reason why the stigma is right is because the way people react to it. Immediately you hear that, me, I've said it anyway many times, I'm not well. Forget the above wear clothes. I am not well, and I know that. And I think I have reached, I don't know whether it's old age that is doing me. When you're almost 50, who I don't send anybody. So I think partly because of that, I'm okay with where I am in my life, so I can say it. But there are people who are younger or who care about what people think. And when they reach out to you and tell you that I'm not okay, and you go like, you don't have faith. Your iman is your iman. The problem is iman. The shaitan has taken over you. This is a response many people get in the Muslim Ummah. Somehow we have linked faith with mental health.
Everywhere.
And I think, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because so that we can now talk about this freely. I can have mental health issues and still have faith. Because when I was at my worst, I used to pray tahajjud in the night. I used to fast Mondays and Thursdays, but it didn't stop the fact that I was having issues. So I believe this is the right way to go, by having this conversation, so that people will know that you can be a good Muslim. You can fast Mondays and Thursdays. You can pray tahajjud every day. You can be conscious, have a high level of consciousness of Allah, and still have mental health issues. I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you so
you're
much.
Very, very
Thank you
correct.
so much.
Yes, you're very,
So
very
much.
correct, Coach Didi. On one level that I didn't mention at all, and I would really want to mention it, which also adds a little bit to what Coach Didi said, and to also trickle down. There are two things actually. One is we need to begin to do what we call peer support programs. Peer support programs. I see a few are coming up, but we need so much more. And I see that the few that are coming up, because people are not vulnerable. So this is where I'm coming from Kojidi. Because people are not vulnerable, they are not really willing to attend. And then I see that the few that are available, the people who actually anchor them don't do the best. They don't do justice to it, to be sincere. Perhaps maybe because they are not trained to handle things like that, or maybe because me to have experienced it. Let me just share what I've experienced as against actually learning it. So we need to do more peer support programs, such that when somebody comes and says, I have a problem, it doesn't have to be therapy that is the first option. Like she said, if somebody comes and said that, rather than the person say, Shaitan has entered your life, is to say, I know one support group. All of them in that support group, they are teenagers and they are going through the same thing you are going through. Oh, yeah, join. You understand? Or even if it's women or something. So we need a whole lot more support groups. That way, public perception will change, because now you are saying that it's not only me, we plenty where we know well. Women group day, teenagers day, man day, everybody day, depression group day, anxiety group day, drug group day, infertility group day, marriage issues day. You understand? You now see that well, na gbogbo ero wahala, and everybody will join. Then number two, we are plenty, exactly. Number two is we need to actually train healthcare providers. We need to train healthcare providers to be able to change public perception. A lot of Muslims will have mental health issues, but they will not present as having mental health issues. It will present as having physical health issues. So every time they will go to the hospital, my head is paining me, my back is paining me, my stomach is doing somehow, my leg is clinical. Doctor will run all the tests, he will not see anything, and he will not know what to say. Meanwhile, these people are actually somaticizing. That is what we mean by they are changing mental health symptom to physical health symptom. Sometimes, to be fair, they are not changing it. It's just that the mental health issue is coming out with a physical health issue. This is where, when we go ahead, we'll be able to talk about, some of the signs and symptoms. So, for example, Alhamdulillah, I have been very privileged. I can say that for a fact. I once had a time that I was having heart palpitation, and I went to the hospital. And then, the doctor did a whole lot of tests. After some time, the man asked me that, I say, Madam, your husband won't marry second wife. I say, no. He say, are you having clinical? I say, no. Are you clinical? I say, no. He say, because me, I don't know what's causing heart palpitation for you. All the tests is not showing anything. Maybe it's anxiety and something. And I was very happy. Why am I saying this? Why was I happy? I was happy that the doctor knew, that it was mental health, and it could be the reason why I was having the problem I was having at that time, right? And alhamdulillah, I got fine, with mindfulness, meditation, and a whole lot of things. I was able to resolve the problem I had at that time. But I can tell you for a fact that it's not a lot of doctors, it's not a lot of nurses, it's not a lot of pharmacists, it's not a lot of mental care, healthcare providers that do know the symptoms of mental health issue. So we can begin to change public perception by actually training those healthcare providers that ordinary people will go into to meet them and say, if this person come and aside from the physical symptoms, ask them about this one, then give them some short this thing, and then send them somewhere. Although another aspect will come and say, doctor said, how many times do they have? But no, there are ways to go
Okay.
around these things that reduces the pressure actually.
Okay. So, Ma, from what you
Thank you
just
very much.
said now, I would like to bring up my next question from there. How can they be trained in those fields? What are the things they should do? Because some people really want to do it, or maybe are not in the right place, or they're not getting the right training. Because I would
Mhm,
say I have a whole lot of experience when it comes to mental, even at workplace, but I don't want to go
mhm,
into it because it's not my show. You're the one that is here
mhm.
to talk to us. So how do you know? How do you feel the practitioners, like when we didn't know, okay, I'm in the right place, I'm getting what it is I should gain from this to be a practitioner, to be able to do it right, not just doing it
Mm,
because I'm doing it.
mm,
Ma, please, I'd like you
mm.
to give me an answer to that, please. Like address
Okay,
us on that.
okay. So I see twofold. Your question is in twofold, if I understand you correctly. One is, how do we train mental health practitioners? And then two, how do we train healthcare
Yeah,
practitioners?
professional.
Healthcare professionals. Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first one, healthcare professionals, is actually easy. The mental health professionals can train the healthcare professionals. For example, like Coach Didi rightly said, in some of our mental health training, doctors come to attend.
Yeah.
Doctors do come to attend, right? And they take it back to their hospitals. So, healthcare professionals can be trained by mental health care. For example, all healthcare professionals should, for example, know basic mental health first aid. They should know basic mental health first aid. Although in some in some healthcare providers, they do this as part of their curriculum. For some doctors, not all, but not all. So, but to make it a general thing and to make it a consistent, ongoing process, that needs to be done for doctors. So the hospitals can do general training in the clinics, they can do it in their conferences, they can do it in collaboration with the Nigerian Psychological Association, the Nigerian Counseling Association. This is where teamwork comes in. Nobody is better than the other person. In Oyinbo land, you see very good teamwork, very good teamwork. So in the big hospitals, for example, in advanced countries, it's not only the main doctor that will see you, the health psychologist will be there, psychiatrist will be there, social worker will be there, a counselor will be there. It's a teamwork of different people coming together. Unlike in Nigeria, there is only one, the main doctor that will see you, and that's all. Except if you are lucky, you go to general hospital that there is a student doctors coming together to see you, and everybody,
Yeah.
doing discussion on your head. I don't know, for those of you that go to government hospital, you will experience rishi. So that is something we need to also bring into Nigeria. Teamwork. We can all work together for that. And then in terms of mental health providers, there are a lot of ways to train them. And this is why, for me, like you rightly said, how do you know? Please ask. What certifications do you have to be able to handle this particular
Yes.
illness or this particular something? Exactly. If you call yourself a life coach, for example, do you have a life coach certification? Right? If you call yourself a mental health first aider, do you have a mental health certification? So you can always ask, and anybody who refuses to show you definitely is hiding something from you. In fact, in the Oyibo, this thing that brought all this, they will tell you, show it, Bagara. In fact, if you check their pages, you will see it. It is there. Whatever. So this way, if you ask and they give, you are good to go. Now, the more what do they call, consumers are informed and ask, right? The more the professionals too, we want to go and train, because they know that the consumers are now trained, they will ask. The more we are now able to reduce unsafe practices and maybe quackery or something. I don't know if that makes sense. So, Coach Didi, you may want to add some more to that.
Okay. Honestly, what I would add is that, see, let us receive sense. As we're listening to Mumtaz. Simply because you go and learn mental health first aid does not make you a therapist. Because I think that's the problem we're having today. People just go and become coach and call themselves therapist. You go and do mental health first aid, you call yourself therapist. You are not a therapist. Even when I go for any program, when they refer to me as a therapist, I say, excuse me, thank you for the upgrade, but I'm not. I am simply a coach, a mental health coach. I have been trained to know the signs and symptoms of mental health. And I now refer people to see people like Mumtaz and psychiatrists. But unfortunately, Africa and Nigeria in particular, we have this thing for titles. Because somebody will go and do 1-2 weeks coaching class and come and call herself a therapist. Now, and this is the problem we are having, know your level. See, you don't have to be called a certain name to deliver result. I'm simply a coach. I don't add anything, join. But I have been able to give people results, because coaching is basically moving you from where you are to where you need to go. Not everybody actually even needs to see Mumtaz. Some of us have small problem from marriage, from children, from in-laws, where they do us, where they don't scatter brain. So sometimes it hasn't even reached the extent. That is why we even have ACEs. There is a test you do for your client and know the level she is. Depending on the number of ACEs she has, I know, okay, me and you, we fit. Let us join and be doing it together. And if she has a very high number, her ACEs is up to 3 or 4, is 4 or above, I refer her to people like Mumtaz who have been trained to handle these things. And I think for me, that is the major problem I'm having with coaches today. Simply because you've trained to be a mental health first aider or a coach does not make you a therapist. My core is neurolinguistic programming, and I tell everybody, that's my core. And in neurolinguistic programming, there are therapeutic tools. There's a difference. There are therapeutic tools we use to make positive change. It doesn't make me a therapist. I am simply a coach. So there is need to create the awareness amongst people. You want to be therapist, it's a very good thing. I better go school. Now school, then go get that title. But you cannot sit down and do a course for 3 weeks, 4 weeks and call yourself a therapist. Because believe me, I have been saying it over and over again. And I think perhaps also, Mumtaz, you guys should do something, the Council of Psychology, so that you can create awareness, so that people will know that simply because you've been trained to be a coach or mental health first aider, overnight you start calling yourself therapist. Let us receive sense.
Okay. Kojidi said we should receive sense. So, as speakers have said, oh Lord, let me just give a recap from what I've actually put down. So initially, from our first question, we were told that there should be more of education and awareness. The influencers should come in. There should be a ability to be vulnerable. We should stop maxing things up. And also, whenever we are trying to, the practitioners, where should they go to? They should know what they are. They should go for certificate. They should go to school. Not everyone could just handle different things, because I feel that's one of the things that just contributing to more of this illness, because we are not going to the right places. And I hope our viewers there, you can hear us clearly. And please, if you have any questions, like, I feel this is a place whereby you don't need to go and queue in one hospital just because you want to speak to a psychologist or you want to talk to a coach. This is where you can actually ask the question you like to. Please put your question down in the chat, then we'll read it out. We can all see, then they'll give us a first-hand response here. So for Coach Didi, ma'am, because as a coach, I would like you to just advise, because now I feel even teenagers, maybe because people are just going into different substances just because, oh, I'm feeling depressed, let me just take something to make me low or to make me high or whatsoever it is. What should be the measures that parents, educators, I think we've said this, but I just want us to, like, I want you to, from your own perspective as a coach, what are the measures they should put in place? What are the specific measures? What are the things parents, educators, like people in the community to put in place to support mental well-being? Because I can use my example, because I've actually lived with someone that is actually mentally ill. So at workplace, there was one of our staff that was behaving abnormal. It was quick for me to say that, okay, there's something wrong with this guy, because some people will end up going into argument, start giving him, doing things that spike his ego, and then before you know it,
Is it me? I can't hear her again.
And
Oh.
I think she froze.
okay,
Okay,
can
yeah,
you hear me
okay.
now, ma?
Yes, we
But
can
I
hear
think
you
it was
now.
the network, the
welcome back.
regulation network. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just be like, it's not about being there before. I've lived with someone like this. So there are some things we just need to address. So Coach Didi, so just help us to address this. Do you get my question, ma?
Yeah, basically, what can parents do to help their
Yeah,
kids and to
parents,
create mental health outcomes?
educators, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
let me start with parents in particular. I think I usually go to schools and talk at PTA as a parent and also as someone who is into mental health awareness. And I tell this to us, and myself included, because I'm on this table with you. We have to learn that things are different now. We cannot raise our kids the way we were raised. I tell people I've never seen my father vulnerable, never. Because our parents were like superhuman beings. They were perfect. They never showed pain. They never showed, as if, no matter how things were bad, they never expressed it. So we didn't see it. Now, in order for us to make our kids understand the importance of mental health, you don't even have to sit them down sometimes to talk about mental health. By simply showing them that it's okay to make mistakes in life. It's okay to be vulnerable. Sometimes I do this with my kids when they were much younger. I walk into my son's room. He was about 9 or 10, and I'll sit down. I'll think of something bad that has happened to me. Sometimes, to be honest, it's his father that is the problem. But of course, I will not tell him that. So I think of I'll make up a scenario, and I'll tell my son, this thing happened to me. And then I'll ask my son, what do I do? Of course, for a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, he'll give me one ridiculously stupid solution, but I don't tell him it's stupid. And I'll say, thank you. And then I show so much pain that my son will put me on his shoulder, as tiny as he was, and he'll pat me like this. It's okay, Didi. It's okay, Didi. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. And he'll give me a tight hug, and he'll say, do you feel better now? And I say, yes, your hugs make me feel better. You know why I did that? Because, to be honest, I'm not even close to the best of parents, but I'm intentional about parenting. I wanted to raise my son to understand that you
Network.
I think she's frozen.
She's frozen. Okay. Ma, can you pick up from there while she join us? Because we'll be wrapping up
you cannot
soon.
come to someone. Okay, you can come to someone you love and trust and express how you feel. So we have to be able to teach our kids to understand vulnerability, to speak out when they are in pain. And the easiest way to do that is to show them that we can be in pain, because we are the mirror of our children. When you raise a child who believes that your parents are perfect, they never make mistakes, nothing goes wrong in their lives, they don't even know that things go wrong. So for me, this is what the awareness I always try to create amongst parents. And then, of course, building connection and rapport. We don't talk to our children much, to be honest. And I'm on this table as well, as I keep saying it, because I'm hustling to make money. It's not easy. This hustle, it is real. So the gender roles of being a parent and hustling to make small money here and there, it takes you away from quality time with the kids. So if we're intentional and create time, look for a time that's convenient for you and the kids, and have some time once a week at least. I am intentional about that. So every Friday I have a meal with my kids. Everybody who's giving me a training or anything on Friday evening, it has to be at least $1 million for me to go and beg them, and then I'll bribe them with it. If not, I don't take jobs on Friday evenings. No live classes. I hardly do it. Because Friday evening is for my family. I stay with my kids. We have a meal together, and not just any meal. We eat emo, God forbid. We eat something really nice, a 3-course meal or even dessert. And then we sit down and we talk. And at the end of that week, I ask my kids, I ask each and every one of them, how are you? While maintaining eye contact. How was your week? And they go like, okay, this didn't happen in school today or yesterday. I had a fight with my friend, or this teacher in school, da, da, da. And then I actually listen to them, because one of the rules for Friday dinner is no gadgets, no phones, no TV. So we actually sit and look at each other. And this is something that doesn't happen anymore. Most parents are so tired, including myself. We come back home really tired. You don't have time to talk to the kids. So you can be intentional and choose at least one day of the week to have a meal together. It's actually sunnah.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much for that insights. Like, it's really loaded. So from all you said, Ma, you said the first thing, we should always show the children that we can be vulnerable. Like, just tell them that we are, like, the mistakes you make, I can also make it. Let them feel it, let them understand being vulnerable. And also we should build connections. And while building the connection, we also be ready to listen, give them 100% attention. Let them also be involved. Build that, like anything you can build. You can build this connection with, like you said, you don't just take any regular food on that particular Friday. You make it special. So this alone, I think kids are very sensitive, especially kids of today. They know when you are going out of your way to do things for them, and definitely they don't want to fall you. And everything you need from them at that moment is always out, just like that. Thank you so much for this. So we are wrapping this up with our last question, because we are behind time. So my last question, I would like to definitely hear from our both panelists. That's from Dr. Awal and Coach Didi. So how can the society, I think we should have said this before, but let me just use this to wrap it up. How can the society address and challenge stigma that mental health and the actions equate to weakness or low intelligence? Like someone having the mental, because this, when people even talk about this sometimes, it's always very funny, because I've seen people that are physically, like those that are really mad by the road. You even see some people with some maybe some mathematics they are trying to solve or whatsoever. So, but yeah, people still feel that, okay, maybe he's doing too much or whatever it is. So I just want you to please help us address it. Like, how can you just address the stigma that is all over in the society concerning mental health, associated with weakness or low in intelligence, or maybe the person is doing too much or whatever it is. Thank you. Up to you, ma'am. Dr.
Okay, thank you very much. Number one, it goes back to public campaigns. I can't overstate that. Public campaigns. Let's begin to do public campaigns. You see, the way we work, they say work for, I don't know, different work that people do. They work for something. We can do work for myth busting around mental health. We can campaign. Very important. And one of the things that can be done, so maybe there's a week, like I'm looking at first, because there needs to be an holistic approach. It's not a one prong, fit. No, there has to be holistic approach, from education to media representation, to community engagement, to workplace initiative, to addressing misconceptions generally, which I see this program is doing, to giving support to individuals. It has to be an holistic thing. And under education and awareness is where that public campaign needs to come into place. One. Two, we need to improve on our mental health literacy and training for everyone that we know is involved with other people. That's very important on the education and awareness part. A part that we have not talked about since morning that needs to be talked about is media representation. We don't have accurate media representation. We don't have accurate portrayals. Usually, what we have is sensationalization of mental health issues. Something will happen. That is when the media house will now call you to come and talk about what has happened. Do you get what I mean? So they will now
Yes, I do.
sensationalize what has happened and perhaps even destroy more, what is on ground. There is something we call what's the word now? I've forgotten. Wherein, if somebody dies by suicide, okay, and the media glorifies that suicide directly or indirectly by saying, life don't tire the person now killed himself, kiniko, and they, sensationalize it. There's something that usually happens. Is it my network? Am I frozen?
Okay, no, no, no,
No, we
no,
can
no,
hear
ma.
you.
You're back. You can hear you, ma.
So there's something that usually happens. Do you know that many more people kill themselves by suicide from that?
Wow.
It's a known fact. Yet the media does that unknowingly. So there needs to be a shift in the media representation of mental health issues. We don't need to have sensational issues for media to talk about mental health. It should be a normal, the way you talk about politics, the way you talk about individuals is the same way you should talk about it. So there should be accurate portrayal. Mental health issue knows no religion, knows no IQ level. You can be the genius of the century, you can have mental health issue. You can be the dummy of the century, you can have mental health issues. So media should portray it accurately. And then gone are the days of, in some of the movies now. In fact, I was so happy, even though I know that there will be fights, there will be, what are they calling it? Campaign. When I heard that federal government is banning money ritual and substance use in Nigerian movie, I say, yay! I hope they're able to do it. But I doubt they'll be able to do it because Nigerian movies is a lie. They will come and Nigerian movie will come and fight and say no, they cannot do that. But really, it's okay for the government to, because all of the movies we have these days is about money ritual, is about Yahoo boys, is about substance abuse.
Making
You see
money
people,
in
big
in a bad
men,
way.
drinking and smoking. What models are we portraying to the young generation? Rather, these movies should begin to talk about real issues. Of recent, I see some of the very good and and well-traveled, educated movie producers are beginning to shift a little bit, to scratch some surface of mental health, which is good. I don't want to name any person here, but some very small, some are beginning. But we need so much more, and let there be accurate portrayals of these things. Let movies begin to talk about people with schizophrenia, people with borderline, people with anxiety, depression, everyday people, people with, portray a medical doctor injecting drugs, portray a student, you understand, and then portray how these people are able to overcome this, and you will see how we begin to actually challenge the stigma. Now, any Tom, Dick, and Harry on the road, any young boy now doesn't see Yahoo as a big deal because the media has made it so it's like water and pure
Glamorized it. They
water.
glamorized
They've
it.
glamorized it,
That's
exactly.
the only
They've
way
glamorized
to
it.
success.
That's exactly. So, but we need to change that. We need a positive coverage of mental health, not a sensationalized, coverage of mental health. That media representative has to change. And then another thing we've not talked about is policy. Government needs to do so much more. Of recent, you know, the Psychiatric Association and the Psychologists Association have been able to shift some of the policies in the government, but there's still much more that needs to be done. Anti-discrimination laws should come out. You know, we should have mental health policies that are friendly and not stigma related. Every
Okay.
ward of the hospital should have, you know, things like that. And finally, I know we are running out of time, is that
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need our community leaders to stand up. Community leaders need to stand up from all faiths, because people respect these community leaders. It is only the big people that don't respect community leaders, but most of Nigerians are on the from the middle class down, and we do respect
Yeah.
community leaders. Let our community leaders come up and let there be community engagement. This way, we can change the stigma. When a community leader is the one that is talking and telling its party, its people, you know, its group, that this thing is real, you know, the stigma will begin to reduce bit by bit. May Allah assist us.
Amina Yarobi. Amina Yarobi.
Over to
Okay,
you,
can I
Coach
have a
Judy.
last word from Coach Judy? Please, ma, make
She
it
has said it.
very
She has said
snappy.
it all. I
Yeah,
have no last words. She has said it all. But I think the only thing I'll
yeah,
add
said it
is,
all.
as far as government
Okay.
and policies are concerned, we've always had beautiful policies. It's implementation that's a problem in Nigeria, not the policies.
Okay.
Implementations.
Implementation,
So
very,
Jazakumullah
very.
khairan, Ma. Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. Awal. Jazakumullah khairan, Coach Didi. We are so glad to have you here. From your last words, you've said that the media should portray more presentation. We should stop doing the whole sensitization. That we should do the more of the positive part of it, that we should implement our policy, not just the policy. The policy is there, yes. I would say yes, there are a lot of policies out there, but are we implementing? Are we doing it right? Thank you so much, Ma, for all that you've added to this. And also, yes, one other thing you said, we should do the campaign. The campaign should be there. We should always put a campaign out there, especially in Nigeria, as a case study, because as this is our home for now. Don't have anywhere else going. So thank you so much, Ma, for this time with us. May Almighty Allah add this as more blessings unto you, because you've given back to the society. May He also replenish it back to you. May you increase in iman, knowledge, and understanding. Well, we hope to have you here again some other time. Assalamu alaikum. So our viewers out there, hope we've been able to learn a whole lot, because I as a person have learned so much from this. So in few minutes we'll have we'll have our next speaker coming up. Just stay tuned and enjoy while we enlighten you with a whole lot going on around mental health. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
And wa alaikum assalam.
Bye bye.